Putting on the Mr. Orange outfit re-energizes
An employee on campus who was soliciting photographs and videos from juvenile males.
There's Mr. Orange. Painted my face, sprayed my hair orange.
This is disturbing. These are individuals that we trust.
This is True Crime Arizona, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.
Hi, everyone. Brianna Whitney here, host of the True Crime Arizona podcast. We're coming on today with a pretty shocking story and an extremely disappointing and disturbing story for so many people who live in Arizona, who are basketball fans in the Valley, both of high school basketball and the Phoenix Suns. We've got a pretty shocking arrest of a man named Patrick Batillo, who was known very commonly in the community as Mr. Orange. He was a staple at Phoenix Suns home games. He would dress up all in orange. He would sit in the crowd. Everybody would see him and take pictures with him. He was also a successful high school basketball coach in Arizona. Our station and every other media entity in town has interviewed Mr. Orange, Patrick Batillo, countless times. He was seen as a very positive person. So what happened today is shocking. And I want to play how he has described himself and his Mr. Orange character in the past.
There's Mr. Orange. There is somebody that is passionate, loyal, dedicated, committed, fun, energetic. All of that encompasses Mr. Orange.
So today, Wednesday, April 10th, there was a complete 180 when we saw he had a mugshot that was available and that we were looking at crimes against children, sex crimes against children as charges he was facing. The Peoria Police Department, Peoria is a suburb outside of Phoenix, held a press conference today. Listen to some of that.
He was soliciting teenage males for photographs and images in exchange for money. Patrick is a teacher. He's a volunteer for the school, and he's also the head basketball boys coach. Who our children spend a lot of time with, practices, games, just knowing that he's in this position of trust and being there with these children, and then for us to find this information out.
Not only was Batillo arrested, but so was a Peoria high school teacher he volunteered for named Holly Holgate. She was arrested for hindering the investigation. Patrick Batillo is charged with one count of luring a minor for sex exploitation and another count of child sex trafficking. Holly Holgate is charged with hindering a police investigation and failing to report child abuse. I'm going to go well into the police report here in the probable cause document we got earlier today that describes how this all unfolded. But I want to have everybody understand the kind of impact that Patrick Batillo had in this community up until this point, which makes this whole story that much more disturbing. Patrick Batillo is 37 years old. He was the head basketball coach at Peoria High School for the Panthers. He also coached volleyball for a bit. And he created his Mr. Orange character about 14 years ago, but he really became well known in the community and kind of famous for his character during the 2021 Suns playoff run, where they made it to the championship series. He was often seen on social media and news reports, even some national reports, because he was kind of the face of that playoff run and the community excitement that everybody had. And he would often take pictures with Suns players, Devin Booker, people who were very famous, and coaches. He was often seen with Monty Williams when he was coaching here, and then countless fans, including many children. So, I mean, this was somebody that the community was excited to see out there. A lot of us have interviewed him, and he was well liked in this community. So that was something you would see from him, not only on his social media pages, but also so many others in the community. We have interviewed him many times about being Mr. Orange and a role model for kids and others. And this is what he had to say about that aspect of his life.
Not superhero, just super fan. So that's the best way to describe it. Somebody that, again, can just bring that energy and make a difference, that's what it's all about, and that's what I like to do. I just painted my face and sprayed my hair orange one game, and then I was like, you know, I need to do something bigger with this, and then just put it together in that off season, made the brand known as Mr. Orange, and you know, it took off ever since. You could be having a bad day or a lot of things are going wrong, but you control your mindset, your energy, and so putting on the Mr. Orange outfit re-energizes me every single time, because it's about going out there, bringing a smile to someone's face, taking a picture with someone, and then obviously if it's a game day, bringing the energy at the arena.
It's honestly hard to listen to those bites knowing now what we know. And you heard him talking about being in the arena for Suns games. He almost never missed a Suns home game, and he was noticeably not there last night, Tuesday night, for the Suns' last regular season home game. That was something that people were noticing before we knew what happened. Now we know that about 2 hours before the game, even maybe a little less, that's when he was arrested for these crimes. We watched him make his initial appearance in court this morning. He didn't say anything at all. The judge gave him a secured bond of $100,000. The judge also gave Holly Holgate a secured bond of $25,000. I'm going to read this police report, the probable cause document for this, almost in full. I struggle a little bit because reading a lot of these details is disturbing. It is going to be hard to listen to. It was honestly hard for me to read as a reporter. But in order to get the magnitude of this case that we're looking at out there so that the public understands why he's facing the charges he is and why this is so serious in nature, I felt like we need to give the full details of what we are reading in the newsroom so that you and the community know what's going on. So I'm going to start from the beginning here of the probable cause document. And I say that that's what we get when they make their first initial appearance. We learn why they were arrested and why they're facing the charges that they are. So stick with me. This is very long, and it is disturbing. This may be graphic to some. This is how it begins. On April 9th, 2024, a Peoria police officer learned that a 15-year-old male victim disclosed to school staff that Patrick Batillo, who is a varsity basketball coach at Peoria High School, had been messaging the victim, soliciting video that depicted the victim in various sex acts and in various states of nudity. A club basketball coach reported this to the Peoria High School administration, and the victim stated that Patrick messaged him via Snapchat about selling images and videos of himself. Patrick told the victim that he has sold videos to this unknown older woman and added the victim could also make money by sending this unknown woman videos and pictures, and in return, Patrick would send the victim money via Cash App. So police interviewed the victim about the exchanges with Patrick, these alleged exchanges, and this is what that victim said. He said he received a message via Snapchat from Patrick asking if he could trust the victim. Shortly after sending the message, Patrick changed the messages to delete automatically after being opened on Snapchat. The victim advised to Patrick he could trust him, and then Patrick told the victim, "Don't judge," and added, "On God." Now that part, I want to play back a soundbite that we have about Patrick Batillo talking about his relationship with God and his students and players. Take a listen.
Outside of my family and God, you know, basketball is it. So here we go. At the high school level, especially just the impact you get to make on these young men. Good. You know, to me, there's nothing more rewarding.
I wanted to play that just because it puts into perspective the fact that he's telling this student, you know, on God, you can trust me with these sexually exploitive videos and pictures. It just, I just feel like that added some context that was unfortunately disturbing. I'm going to go back to the police report now as this continues to play out. Patrick told the victim he sends a lady's sex videos that depicted him masturbating in showers and homosexual things. The victim said this weirded him out. Patrick asked the victim if he was interested and would tell this lady the victim was 19 years old due to the victim actually being 16 years old. Patrick advised the victim that no one would see his videos and images he sent, and they would be deleted. The victim was unsure, and Patrick continued to message the victim in attempt to convince him to send the pictures and videos. The victim ends up agreeing to send videos, but I will say this victim was very smart in the way that he handled this entire situation. The victim stated he went on to social media and obtained a couple of masturbation videos from an unknown person and sent them to Patrick via Snapchat. Patrick replied the unknown lady wanted to see the victim's face. The victim said he did not want to send an image that included his face. Patrick then asked for the victim to either, quote, spread his ass on camera or, quote, piss on self. The victim felt disgusted by that request, as stated in the police report. Patrick then asked the victim to send videos of him and his girlfriend, who was also a juvenile, engaged in sex acts. The victim advised he wanted to see if Patrick was lying about this unknown lady and asked for her Snapchat username. The victim added the unknown lady on Snapchat to verify if she was real. And per the victim, he believed there actually was no unknown lady and that Patrick was portraying himself as the unknown lady. The victim asked the unknown lady for an image of herself, but she did not send one. And the victim confronted Patrick, saying that the lady wasn't real, and Patrick replied, why would he lie? Now, this is where the victim decides to concoct a plan and test Patrick about what's going on. So the victim tells police officers one night he and Patrick, attended the same basketball game. The victim sent a Snapchat message to the unknown lady via Snapchat. Once the message was sent, the victim looked over at Patrick. The victim observed Patrick look at his Apple Watch, notifying him of a notification. Patrick then took his cell phone out of his pocket and looked at his cell phone. Patrick began typing on his cell phone, and the victim looked at his own cell phone and saw he was receiving a message from the unknown lady. At this point, the victim decided to message Patrick to gather evidence for a case. The victim told Patrick he was ready. Patrick said he did not believe the victim because he hadn't actually sent any videos yet. The victim asked Patrick what he wanted the victim to send. Patrick messaged the victim the following: solo with showers with smashing sex with a girl, top, oral with a girl, and the victim masturbating. Patrick added all with and full face as you know. The police report says is a term used for ejaculation. The victim stated he sent the unknown lady a message apologizing for not sending any videos and asked what she wanted. That person basically says the same thing as Patrick. And then we actually get some examples of actual messages that were sent back and forth. This is what some of this said: smash with top with solo with full body face and at same time, solo regular with piss on self in shower vid. Some of these messages go on to have or show Patrick allegedly asking for more and explaining what he wanted to see. They say, I want you and exploding big all over. I want you exploding all over someone's face. I want you masturbating so I can see all of you in your face as you explode all over, with a kissing emoji. I want you to shower and pee all over your body. That's what I want. The victim is still testing him and sends a message back that says, I forgot your ass was this freaky, but I'll do the first two and shower, and I got some videos I've got to get of me and my girl. And there's a little bit more back and forth, and then Patrick allegedly goes on to say, if you hit your face with urine, I will pay even more. That's where we kind of end with the messages part. I know that was extremely difficult to hear, but then we learned that there are other alleged victims in this, or at least people that have dealt with messages from Patrick Botillo. So detectives go to the high school and are conducting interviews, and they learned that the victim disclosed to another teacher, Holly Holgate, the one who's also facing charges. According to this probable cause document, Holly informed the victim that she would be going to Patrick to make him aware of the allegations, and then she sent the victim to the front office. Holly went to Patrick and alerted him to the allegations that were going to be made against him. And sometime after Patrick was informed about this, he left school grounds so that police couldn't interview him while they were there. While they're there, they're conducting other interviews on campus. Another 15-year-old male student is interviewed, and he states that he had posted an image of himself on his Snapchat story. He tells officers Patrick replied to the story saying, "You know what you're doing." This male replied he was not sure what Patrick was referring to, and Patrick messaged this male the next day, "Bulge." The male stated he did not reply back. Another student who just turned 16 years old stated in an interview that Patrick asked him who had the biggest cock and if this juvenile possessed any videos of him, quote, his girlfriend. Patrick asked the juvenile to show him videos of him having sex with his girlfriend. On Tuesday, April 9th, around 5:30 p.m., suspect Patrick Batillo was arrested while driving. They were able to locate him by his Arizona license plate, and that's when he was transported back to the Peoria Police Department. I want to play a little bit more about what Peoria police said in the aftermath of this investigation and how it affected not only their police department, but the Peoria community.
School administrators had told our school resource officer that there was an employee on campus who was soliciting photographs and videos from juvenile males on campus. We quickly dove into this investigation. We got our HEAT detectives involved, human exploitation and trafficking detectives. They quickly dove into the investigation. This is still an active and early investigation. We just took them into custody yesterday. Our detectives are still looking through evidence, still serving search warrants, and doing the full investigation that's needed. This is disturbing. You know, these are individuals that we trust to spend hours on at a day at school, and for this to come out, it's sad, it's heartbreaking. Myself being a parent, I mean, this really hits close to home, especially here in Peoria High School. We don't ever want this to happen here, and it's unfortunate that it did.
You can hear how it's clearly affecting everybody involved, including the detectives and police officers who are having to conduct this investigation. When they bring Patrick Batillo in and he's in custody, they try to interview him. And Patrick advises that he wants to speak to officers. So he was escorted to the interview room in the criminal investigation section at Peoria PD. He was read his rights, and he replied yes to understanding his rights. And the officer began kind of asking him basic questions, you know, spelling of his name, date of birth. But in the probable cause document, it says when the officer began asking Patrick questions about his involvement with children, he started to become defensive. He says he's been a varsity basketball coach for 5 years. And at this point in the interview, Patrick invoked his rights. And that is the end of anything that he told officers after his arrest. At this point, I want to bring in our reporter and weekend anchor, Michael Raimondi, who's working on the story today. I've got Michael on the phone. He's been at Peoria High School kind of gathering reaction and talking to parents and students. Michael, clearly this is shocking for everybody. The details are horrific. What are you hearing from people who are out there at the high school today?
Yeah, so we went there. They had an early release day, as they do on Wednesdays at Peoria High School. So many students leaving around, 12:20 this afternoon, and we kind of just stood on the sidewalk, just trying to talk to as many of the students as we can. And even those who didn't really know the teacher say it's just really tough to learn that information and learn that maybe some of their classmates were involved in this. And in particular, him being a figure of a basketball coach, a teacher, somebody that they thought they could trust, somebody that the team trusted, and some of the people really just speaking, wishing the best for those basketball players and knowing how this is going to impact them moving forward. I think a lot of people were just really disturbed too, as the day has gone on and more of these details have come out. Seeing some of those details and what he was trying to do with these students and these kids, people really just disturbed by what they saw.
And a lot of them, knew he was a basketball coach, but did a lot of them also know he was portrayed as Mr. Orange in the public and had kind of followed that character because he was so well known in the community?
Yeah, that was definitely something they talked about. I mean, as they're walking by and they see us as a news crew, they're like, "Oh, Mr. Orange." Like, I mean, it's almost like the first thing they say out of their mouth instead of Mr. Patillo is the first thing that comes out of their mouth. And so while they know he's a big Suns fan, and that's, you know, the thing for him that a lot of people across the valley know, they also said he goes to so many other games. While he's the head coach of the boys basketball team, he'll also be at other school events. He'll also go to even like middle school basketball games. So he's definitely somebody that people would see in the Peoria community regularly, and in specifically at a lot of these basketball games.
Yeah, that adds a lot of context there too. I mean, he was a face that people knew around the community, around the high school, around that Peoria Unified in general. So thank you for sharing that. I know you're out there kind of on the campus learning more about what people are saying. We know it affected the basketball team for sure, but also it appears that it just affected that entire school and the students there too. So thank you for sharing what you've learned. I know you're working on a report for our newscast tonight.
Yes, yeah, no worries. If you need anything else, just let me know.
All right, thanks. What Michael is seeing and hearing today kind of gives that account of what's going on the grounds there. And Peoria Unified is obviously aware of this situation, and they sent out a statement as well, taking action pretty quickly. This is what they said. We are aware that 2 trusted members of our Peoria High School community were arrested last night. We are working to ensure that those who may have been victimized receive the space and care they need, and we are cooperating with Peoria Police Department on their investigation. Patrick Patillo was the varsity basketball coach and volunteer, but yesterday we were made aware that he may have committed sex crimes involving children. As soon as we became aware of the allegations, we contacted the Peoria Police Department, the Arizona Department of Education, and have filed a report with the Department of Child Safety. Dr. Patillo began coaching basketball in 2019 and completed a fingerprint and background check clearance. Until now, no reports of misconduct have been brought to our attention from parents, students, or community members. Peoria police also arrested Holly Holgate, one of our teachers, for hindering prosecution and failure to report child abuse and neglect. She has been with Peoria High School since the year 2000 and had an up-to-date fingerprint clearance card. We have been cooperating with Peoria police as this is still an active criminal investigation. To preserve the privacy of those who bravely came forward to share what they know, we are not able to provide additional information. The safety and well-being of our students is paramount. Should a student need someone to talk to about what they are feeling, we will have our social worker and members of our counseling team available. Obviously, this is a lot for everybody to digest and to process, those who live and go to school in Peoria, but really the entire valley. As somebody that everyone really knew and loved is now being shined in a light of a potential criminal with sex crimes against children. It is hard to kind of fathom that somebody that everybody knew in that way could have allegedly done these horrific acts and probably known what he was doing was very, very wrong. We will continue following this investigation. We will have stories on Channel 3 and CBS 5, as well as up-to-date information, updating regularly on azfamily.com and our AZ Family News app. Peoria police wanted to stress this is still an active investigation. They are still serving search warrants. They're still going through evidence, and they are hoping that if there are any other victims out there who may have been messaging or shared any pictures or videos with Patrick Patillo to please come forward. They have a tip phone line, 623-773-7045. You can email tips. They are not anonymous, though, to pdtips@peoriaaz.gov. You can fill out an online form, or you can contact Silent Witness anonymously at 480-WITNESS. You can also contact the detective directly if you'd like to speak to them. That number is 623-773-8874. Of course, as we get more information as this unfolds in a court setting, we'll bring you the very latest. We know this is hard to digest, but we wanted the community to have all of the information available as to what we know now about these alleged sex crimes against children by Patrick Patillo, the man so many knew in the community as Mr. Orange. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll keep you up to date as we learn more. True Crime Arizona, the podcast, is hosted by me, Brianna Whitney, and produced by Sergio Hernandez. It's a production of Arizona's Family, 3TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.
This is True Crime Arizona, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.